This podcast is a 98 Studios production.
Today's the day, baby.
Today's the day.
Today's the day.
Today's the motherfucking day.
Today is the day.
Today's the day.
Today is the day.
Today's the day. What up, everybody? Welcome back to Today's the Day with Zack Anderson. Today's going to be a fun episode. I can already tell. We've been talking a little bit, Mr. Scott, but first and foremost, Scott Paul, Mr. Scotty Coin, Bitcoin Jesus, Bitcoin Judas.
Yes.
I'm excited to chat, bro. Thank you for being here. I know you're busy, and I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah.
So thank you.
We're all busy, so we got to just prioritize the fun stuff.
Well, I appreciate you prioritizing us a little bit.
Yeah,
It means a lot. Thank you. I'm super excited to talk. I don't know you super well, which is usually the funnest episodes for me because everything that everyone's hearing, I'm hearing for the first time as well.
Okay.
Talked a little bit before. It's going to be a blast. And we're going to get into, it sounds like pretty much everything. We're going to get into AI, crypto, tech startups, the exits that you've had, the companies you've been able to be a part of. And we've talked a little bit about that just sitting here. But I'm excited to kind of go into depth. But before any of that, help us get to know you just a little bit. Like, help us get to know who in the world is Scott Paul. Where are you from? What were you growing up like?
Yeah.
Give us that story, and then we'll work through the timeline as we go.
I went most of my life living in Northern California until high school. And then my dad's a ski bum, so we wanted to get back to Utah. So 14, 15, we moved here to Utah, and I'm the oldest in my family of 5. So I come here and enjoyed living in the mountains and skiing and doing all this stuff that Utah has to offer that's much closer in proximity than when we lived in the Bay Area of California.
Mm-hmm.
But I was always just a little bit of a troublemaker, always kind of finding myself in the principal's office for some reason. I didn't know why, but I was an unmedicated ADHD, early hyperactive kid, and so I just let that flow, and it did a lot for me when I was trying to go against the grain on entrepreneurship. But if you go against the rules, sometimes it gets you in trouble, and your test scores reflect that as well. So I not a great student, nothing to be prideful about there, but I always loved making little businesses, even in high school. So my senior year, I was at Lone Peak. It was the first year they started, and I actually just dropped out to go knock doors.
Really?
Something similar, yeah.
Really?
It was food stores. It was 1999. It was before door knocking was the big thing, and there wasn't a lot of pest control and security, and solar wasn't even a thing. And at the time, everyone thought the Y2K bug was going to shut down the world, and so I started knocking doors for selling food storage, dehydrated buckets of food.
You were in the mecca of where was buying food storage too, huh?
Yeah, that was the time the local religion here said, "Get food storage," and
That's amazing.
everyone's cashing. So I'm like, screw this, screw high school. I went out and where I went wrong is I started knocking doors. I was damn good at it, and so I'm like, I gotta scale this. I can't want to just be me. Instead of hiring more door knockers, I tried to go online. And food store just wasn't ready for online. 1999 wasn't e-commerce, really. It was not, people weren't used
transacting
to
like
spending that much money online. And so I took all my winnings. Here I am with the cell phone in 99 in high school. No one else had it. In fact, I didn't even go to high school. I went to UVSC at the time, now UVU. And I would kind of go back to the high school to see my friends try to be all dressed up. I was just a little businessman. It was so silly looking back. I should have been hanging out, getting in trouble, but I wanted to make some quick dough, and I did until I blew it all on paying a bunch of developers to make a website. And so I learned my lesson really quickly I should have just kept knocking doors and just,
valuable lesson.
Yeah, just making a bunch of money.
That's probably a big reason why you ended up where you're at. That's amazing.
Yeah, good. I learned very early kind of that lesson. True.
So question then, something's contradicting there in a way, and I'm curious how it played out. You were a troublemaker, always get like ski bum.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine what you were like from the little bit that you said in high school, but then you were a little businessman. Where did that come in, or where did the desire to go and be like, oh, dude, I'm going to go make some money rather than chill, hang out, go ski, hang with the homies, and coast through high school?
It was something in my head that just made a lot of sense. I saw my dad kind of do the same thing as an entrepreneur, and so I just like wanted my own money. I'm like, everything is possible if you like I'm always in trouble. I'm like, I just want to not be in anyone else's rules anymore. And so it's like, I felt like school was rules and college, anything I did was rules. Church was rules. I'm like, damn, if I can just make money, and I don't have, like, money is the way out of other people's rules.
I'm gonna make my own rules.
Yeah, you can start to like emancipate yourself from other people. Like if you're not working for someone else, then you don't have to be there at 9 o'clock.
Yep.
And so it's just like quickly,
so it's more of like a
quickly
search for
realize
freedom.
that, yes, I realized that I can kind of give a middle finger to all the systems of control if I was creating my own coin.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that segues us all the way to crypto time, which I like that, creating your own Mr. Scotty coin.
Yeah.
So high school, you figure out your little food storage biz, you blow the cash that you earned.
Yeah, I was making $5,000 a month back in '99, and I was flush with cash, and then I started paying.
So you were balling,
and
you should have been a senior in high school too, or just
I
after.
I would have been a senior in high school.
And you were literally
I was 17 at the time,
and you were making parents' money.
I was definitely, there were people that I knew were 30 years in their careers, and I was having months that were $5,000, $6,000 a month back then was
crazy.
Was a good income.
So how do you keep your ego in check at that point?
I did, and that's where I blew it all. I was like, I can take over the world, and I bought
You're invincible.
Y2Kaccessories.com. I spent all this money developing it. I was paying my math teacher at school to help develop. He was a programmer on the side.
Holy crap!
I'm like, get this done. I was giving him. I wasn't even showing up at his class. Instead, I was giving him money. And I remember I just tried going to the bank and getting cash, and he's like, I can't take cash. Give me a check. I'm like, okay. He was teaching me how to like do business and take, and then I was bossing
not
around.
legal. He's like,
exactly.
Don't do that.
I need a receipt, And so I just started hiring people. I was going to conferences across the country to try to like hawk my goods, and just blew it on inefficient marketing things because I wanted to scale quickly. I remember buying email lists back in the day, like it was just a bunch of junk email. I'm like, I'm going to email everyone on this list. And it was just a scam. And then, it's just too many of those and my money's all gone.
You were 10 years ahead of your time, though. Fast forward 10 years, you probably could have scaled that.
That's true.
That could have been legendary.
Well, there are companies that popped out of here in Utah doing just what I was doing 10 years later that were very, very successful.
See, that's crazy. That's dope.
I'm always too early. I tried to make Facebook in my junior year.
Really?
Yeah. Everyone had these the emails back then. There was no Hotmail. It was free email was done by this company called Juno. And this was like 97, 98. And so I was trying to get everyone to get an email and then give me I was scanning the yearbook photos of everybody. I was trying to make a website where we could all talk to each other, kind of like a yearbook
like
online,
a group chat type thing.
Well, just an online yearbook where you could kind of see everyone's email
and their timeline.
Yeah,
so like a Facebook.
It was just their interest. Yeah, well, it was basically 4 years too early for Facebook.
That's amazing.
So,
I love that. Hey, that's awesome. That's about as fun as it gets. So then my question for you then is like, and so I don't mean to break down early on. We'll break down everything, but early on, going from high school student, chiller, ski bum, want some freedom, to actually having the confidence to go and actually, hey, I'm going to not go to school and I'm going to go knock doors to go and make enough money. And then, I'm making the money. I'm going to go pay my school teacher to go and develop my, like, where are you getting this sense of confidence? Is that from your dad? Is that from being the oldest child? Is that from?
I think it's a mix of all of those and just kind of, just have always had a little bit of self-assurance since I was a little kid that I know what's going on and maybe others don't see it exactly as I do. And then more and more I realize no one knows what's going on. And so my confidence was maybe a little inflated, but it was even as artificial it is, like no one really knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's why I try to teach people all the day, just like go after your thing. There's no one else is doing it. Most people are just kind of in, cruise control on the freeway, going to their job, watching their favorite shows. And so if you get an inkling of an idea or want to put some effort in something, it's usually going to pay off because it's hard. It's not a lot of people are kind of taking that chance, that risk. I think that if you look at the spread of the human population and the graph of like risk aversion to risk, people who like risk, it's just most of the pie graph is risk aversion.
For sure.
And so if you're someone out there that even has a little bit of liking risk, which I was since a kid, that's just going to really pay off for you because taking risks is the only way to have multiples in your life and get rewarded for
I think the other piece of that equation is, you have to be okay taking risk. But I think what's really cool, and kind of the next part we haven't even talked about of where'd you go after that, is being okay with failure as well. Because a lot of people that get okay with risk, they're not okay with failure. And if you're taking risk, you're going to fail to some degree, and failing's not failing, right? If you allow it to go and be a learning experience.
Well, failure is failure, and it's just like, well, that's again, that was me always being in trouble. I always felt like a failure. Like I didn't get into I never made into the like kids, smart kids groups in California. They had this thing called GATE, Gifted and Talented Education. And I remember,
that's a great way to go split up the student body.
They would stand up. Amazing. They would stand up and I lived in the Bay Area where there's a lot of smart, I remember there was kids from Taiwan and China in my class, and they were so good at math and so smart. And so like when the GATE kids would stand up, or they'd come in and they would stand up and go on, and then all the dumb kids would stay, and all the smart kids would leave the room and go to the aquarium or some special field trip. I'm like, fuck these guys.
That can't be good.
I'm like, what? Yeah, well, no. I think it's really good. Because
for people that view it the way you do, not for the people that view it the wrong way.
That's right. That's right.
But so I hear you.
So it just made me like,
you had a chip on your shoulder since elementary.
I had a chip since 4th grade when they started that program, or 3rd grade it was, maybe 2nd grade. I think the test was in 2nd grade.
That's crazy.
So California's school system didn't know what they were creating when they made that program. But
that's a cool way to look at it. Actually, I think that's a cool way to look at it. That if you're not failing because you're trying something risky, you're failing because you're just selling yourself short too, and you're failing because you're just not doing not really doing anything. Yeah. So I think failure is always present. I think it's a really good
failure.
Point.
So we should talk failure real fast. Failure is, I don't know who started branding failure as something to be avoided, but if you think about we'll go to AI real fast here. The way AI is working right now is they're training. They're sending a bunch of data. Just imagine downloading all of Wikipedia and then feeding it into a big machine and having it just read it again and again and again, and then try to, use that data to predict and make new sentences or, share that. And the things are these LLMs, they have to fail. They're failing a lot at the beginning. They're giving out weird words. They're not making sequential, the sentences aren't making sense. And then eventually you give it enough, you fail enough, and you get what we have today, where it's this thing's doing your homework, it's drawing photos, it's really good. Sometimes the hands are looking like this,
but
it's getting really good. And the only way you can get these AI to be where they're at right now is tons of failure, tons of hallucinating, it's just a little computer trying to crawl and then walk. And so I just liken that to how we are as humans. We've got to fail a ton. Since we're even really small, we got to be failing and just being comfortable with it, getting excited about failure. And something has happened in our system where we've almost we've made it so we protect kids, our own kids and students and our friends. We protect each other from having any of these constant failures.
Why do you think that is bad? Where do you think that stems from?
Fear. Fear and love is this spectrum that is happening in everything we do all day long. We're either acting out of we're making decisions in fear, or we're making them in love. And love can mean a lot of things, and fear can mean a lot of things. But I think there are a lot of voices out there, and if you listen to ones that have fear, you'll adapt. You'll start to think with a fear model. If you listen to lots of people that are open and don't judge or aren't full of this fear, then you'll start to have more love and you don't feel like a failure when you do fail. You feel like you're
it's the next step.
The next step. And so a lot of it could be parenting. A lot of it could be what's on the news and what we're putting into our brain through algorithms on social media. It's just we have to be very, very cognizant of the data that's going into what's training our mental model.
Because the majority of everything that's going into your brain is making you scared of failure. Literally.
Possibly. Yeah.
What I mean is majority of the content that's out there and that's actively being consumed, I think is not not encouraging people to go out and fail and to embrace failure to go grow.
It could be true. Although I think you guys are doing something different here. And there's some channels that I watch where this is becoming discussed now.
True.
And it's
That's
just
true,
saying,
actually.
I mean, you're literally making a carpe diem, go get what's it called again?
Today's the day.
Today's the day. That feels like that feels pretty encouraging to just go out and do it, whatever
True.
that is.
True.
So we need more of this. There are other people like you that are, and we're kind of in awakening right now. I think across the entire globe, there's like a wellness awakening. There's a mental health awakening,
Mm-hmm.
and I think your generation specifically is kind of trying. I feel like there's a little bit of a movement to
They're
address
embracing
this
it rather
very idea
than-
of fear. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very, very true. I think I've noticed that too. I think not that it's necessarily become cool to go and like take care of yourself,
Yeah.
but it almost has become like, oh yeah, that actually
Well, it is. I mean, look at this right here.
exactly, bro. It like is
Like,
becoming
this is water.
a norm.
How about
Yeah.
this right here? This is actually a friend of mine that started this. Manager Jeff, he works with Logan.
I got to
Paul.
meet manager Jeff.
And
You
Manager
got
Jeff's
to introduce
badass. He's badass, and he's a health freak, and they're trying to make this a better option than it's got a lot less sugar. It's got no caffeine.
Yeah.
And this is trending around like 8 to
It's like
like
becoming
20-year-olds. Yeah.
me. See, that's actually
And
really cool.
And so that's happening right now.
No one's really talked about that on the podcast yet, and we've like touched on it, but never really in depth. Is it's kind of becoming cool to take care of yourself, like. And I remember probably like through my high school experience, you like give it a
I
plug,
haven't had
hold
that
it
one
up
yet.
for the
Yeah.
shot. There you go. I like that. Manager
job.
Jeff.
Nice job, Jeff.
We'll get Jeff on here. No, but in high school, and that's strange, and maybe it was more of just the people I was around, but it really wasn't cool or what would you say, like championed to go and be like self-help, work on yourself, be healthy. Like none of that mattered.
It wasn't because the boomers weren't into it.
And now it's
And
getting
so
to
the kids of the boomers kind of got raised in a I'm a kid of a boomer, and so mental health wasn't talked about, but we're realizing that like the way we were raised was, it's not I don't feel victimized or anything, but it was a different era, and so we're changing that. We're trying to, we're now having kids, and we're trying to change that for our kids, and we're trying to, I think the openness around
what do you think the
mental health.
catalyst for that was? Do you think it was the children of the boomer got old enough and they're like, wow, mentally, like I could have used a lot of like work, and
Yeah.
I want my kids to have that. So now it's kind of
they need
praised
they
in
need a
way.
discussion. We there was just because it's funny because I think it came from the parents of the boomers.
Yep.
And it was generationally, like it wasn't even 50 years ago that we were locking people up if they had mental health issues.
Yep.
We were lobotomizing them and like literally frying their brain, and this is not that long ago. This is like the 70s.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to my
crazy.
just talking to my friend who's from Long Island. He said there was like housing just all up in New York for crazy people where they would just send
people
them.
with mental illness.
Yeah.
That's so
now,
crazy.
And now we're like, hold on, let's rethink some of this, and there's some other methods to work with this. And so it's just generational. It's just as we have new science, we learn. And so no one should be blaming their parents. No one should be blaming their grandparents. No one should be blaming their kids. There's
no blame.
There's nothing. There's no one's at fault. We're literally evolving as a species.
Yeah.
And so some of this luckily is going back to, as our generation learns about how helpful it is to be aware of how our brains work. Hopefully we have conversations with our parents, and we can actually help them. But a lot of times the boomers' brains are getting calcified and crystallized. That's how they think, and so it is harder to go and help that generation. But we can definitely help the kids who have a lot of neuroplasticity still.
For sure. Typically, patterns and trends go in kind of like a pendulum type swing. Like things get so far one way.
Yeah, like every 40 years, I think it does,
and then they go right back and they go too far the other way. And like my fear. I have little siblings, like younger siblings, not super young, just got out of high school and stuff like that. My fear is, and not in like the wrong way, so don't take it the wrong way, anyone listening too, but what if we get too soft in that sense? Like too much, I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
How do we avoid that? Because when you get that in that situation, someone who's too soft, and when I'm thinking of like the younger generations, what I'm talking about is you go baby someone too much, or you go and you even allow like these mental mental struggles or these emotional struggles or these whatever, ADD, ADHD or whatever, people then start to use it as a crutch and excuse to the point that it's extremely unhealthy on the other side. And then they don't really go and do a lot, or they could go and not do a lot or whatever it may be. And I'm curious on your outlook there, because I don't think either side's the right place to be. I think in the middle is the right place to be. It has to
I
be.
just love that we can even bring that up. And so today there's podcasts, we can talk about it. And so even that you have a concern, you know, or maybe it's not even, it's you know, the fear is I have so much fear of the word fear. I'm like, I don't even want to hear like
fear.
Yeah.
It's okay. I know what you mean.
And it's like we're concerned and it's there. The only thing I can say is like how do we talk about it? And so that it's not something that we don't like with the individuals that we might be concerned for with policies we see at school. I just think we need to always be open to talking and having and not putting it under a carpet or not ignoring the problem that you see. And that's kind of why I think the generations before, I think they just didn't communicate as well as we do now.
That makes sense.
They didn't have look at this democratized way that we're distributing and broadcasting. This used to be only available to a talk show radio or someone on TV or a talk show radio that was in metropolitan areas or maybe a little local station for music. And so this is already and
someone in a different country can pull open their phone, go to YouTube, Spotify, anything, and listen to all this.
Anything and everything.
Super crazy.
And so the ability to have conversation around. I watch my daughters just using TikTok to learn, and they're learning hyperspeed. They can go special interest in exactly what they want, and just get a feed of that. And I can, as a parent, I'm like, oh, are they learning the wrong stuff, or is it just this or that? But then I start to back off. I'm like, wait a second. Every hour that we're awake, our brains are processing some data. We're training these things on something. And it's not my job to be a judge of what they get trained on. I really don't think it is.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want to stop some kids just playing violin all day. I'm like, you really need to be doing your math homework. Some kids playing violin all day, I'm just going to let them go. I'm going to go hog wild on that violin.
True.
It's like,
but to your instinctual, like, avoiding the word fear, concern, I think the access to information just, it can, if you allow it, it can accelerate whatever you're getting into.
It will accelerate.
Exactly. And that could be, to your instinctual concern, that could be a negative thing. It totally could be.
It could be.
It's whatever you allow it to be.
If they're getting into things that if the information they're putting in their head is causing them more fear or causing them to distrust the world around them or causing them to have maybe some behavior that's not good for their well-being, that's micro harming them versus micro helping them, then I would say yes, that's something we should be wary of. And so it really comes down to being able to discuss with every individual and like, is the data in serving you or not serving you?
Yeah.
Is it?
And I like how broad that is
towards your goals.
I like how broad that is for sure. I think that's a really good way to look at it, because sometimes it's easy to go and try and prejudge what is serving and what's not to somebody else. And you can't really do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really cool way to look at it. That's crazy. Yeah, dude. Times are very, very, very different. It's crazy. So your story, sorry, I love that conversation. That was awesome. Thank you.
Of course.
Your story, you go and you get to the point where you go drain all of your money trying to go start e-commerce with this little business that you had, where
back
hindsight's
17,
2020,
18,
right?
yeah. Then I go on a Mormon mission to Italy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a curveball. I like that.
Yeah, I'm like,
you're like, how did you decide to go from F all the rules to I'm gonna go serve these? I'm gonna go and spend the next 2 years under the most strict.
And I somehow pulled that one off, and I have no idea how. I kind of broke the rules out there too, though. You weren't supposed to have a cell phone or a computer and all this, but I ended up I turned my little apartment into a full tech warehouse.
Really?
I was burning CDs early on. I had Napster. I had everything, and I was printing out full Book of Mormon posters and running around the busy cities and subways with this stuff. So I kind of used my mission as like a marketing department to learn how to, I just knew that. And
what did your companions say?
They loved it.
Did they?
Somewhere, yeah, they would love. They would. The president had to put special people with me because I was a rule breaker, and he's like, but he kind of knew and was down with like a little bit of it, like, you're only breaking the rules you're only kind of innovating. Yeah, you're just kind of innovating. And so, because I just wanted to scale, like if I'm here to do something, I want to do good. And this is very similar to Todd Peterson. I was with Todd Peterson in Finland 2 years ago, and he was telling me about his mission and how he was just like I'm just gonna go for top of funnel, and have a few people stick around, And he was baptized. He was proud of his just mass baptizing and mass converting, and just hoping they kind of stay in the funnel, and the membership would, the members of the ward there. I think it was Dominican Republic. I can't remember where he went, but his stories were amazing. And I was kind of doing the same thing on the marketing side. I was in Italy where it was very hard, but a lot of Catholics. So I'm like, I'm just going to try to get a lot more awareness going. And it was good for me. Like I don't identify too much as a classical Mormon anymore, but that mission was hella good for
awesome.
For everything I went and did after and learned and stuff. And
that's so cool.
So that was.
So I love that you served a mission, but you kept you, right. And I think that
I didn't let that mission take who I was
awesome.
away. Well, it was close. The first year was really hard, and I was super depressed and couldn't really learn the language. And so it actually wasn't like I got out there and I was like, let's go. It was a horrible first year, honestly, and a lot of journal entries and crying, and just I did not enjoy it. And
which, hindsight being 2020, was probably also really good for you in a lot of ways too.
100%.
Like you had to learn to sit with yourself.
Yeah, it was a metamorphic experience where I had to sit with myself in a very small little town in the Alps with just no one wanted to talk to us. And my companion was a strange duck, and I love him now, but man, he was strange at the time. And I was just like, what am I doing here? What is actually going? It was Matrix stuff. I just felt weird. And then I got to transfer to Milan, which is, the really big, it's like the New York of Italy. And it was, and everything changed. When I got there, I started just making friends with everyone, all different countries, all different. And one guy particularly was like, somehow he's living on food stamps or something. The government gave him a bunch of food vouchers and he didn't use them. So he gave me thousands of dollars of food credits. So I was the missionary I would run around. I'd take all the I would go buy these yummy little pizza pockets called panzerotti for the whole mission, like on zone leader days or days when we get together, and no one could figure out like, what is this guy doing? Because I was just feeding people and doing parties and using these credits. Yeah, I was just doing it the way I wanted to do it. And that was near the end. I really got in the groove, and I loved Milan as a city, and then I went down to the Riviera at the very end and enjoyed that place too. And just I'm like, don't recommend Mormonism for anyone, but I wish there was a way that anyone could do a mission.
Oh, dude,
without doing Mormonism.
I think missions are one of the coolest things ever. Like, I think they're so valuable. And with what I do, there's a lot of parallels too. And I love when missionaries come out. And I think missions are amazing. I think there's a door knocking culture here in Utah and a lot of companies, and I think there's a lot of parallels to that. I'm on a board of a company called Hero Home, and they're selling roofing, siding, and windows and doors. Cool.
Door to door. Brand new startup. They're kicking ass.
Yeah.
Because what they've done is they've created almost like a mission camaraderie among the they have a full education path and just kind of a betterment. Their whole thing is about helping these young kids, male and female, kind of be empowered. They have a curriculum they kind of go along with. And I'm watching Cody Broderick's the founder, and I'm watching, from these board meetings and kind of from the point of view that I have, I'm like, this is 100% what I want my kids to do if they don't do a mission, is something like this.
For sure. And I think I've put a lot of thought into it. And I listen to Jordan Peterson a lot. I really like Jordan Peterson and a few others. And I think what a mission like captures, and I think the reason there's so much value in it is because if you think about back in like tribal times, for any young man coming of age, there was like a rite of passage. It was like some crazy hunt where they were alone on a hunt with no weapons, and they had to bring back food or some crazy shit.
Yeah.
We don't have that anymore now, right? You can chill at your parents' basement and play video games. Yeah. But I think a mission, and the reason I think there's parallels with exactly what you're talking about, jobs where you go out and knock doors, is you have to go and learn how to be completely independent 100% through and through. Like you have to go and learn how to be completely independent. You have to learn how to go innovate and find a way to find success out of thin air.
Yep.
Right. Whether it's a mission or door to door, you're creating revenue or baptisms and conversions out of thin air.
Yep.
You have to learn how to go face rejection every single day for an extended amount of time. So it's not like a little bit of rejection building up a tolerance. It's by complete submersion. Like you're in it.
Yep.
Right, with the language, with the people.
You're basically a rejected person that nobody wants.
Exactly.
There.
Exactly.
You walk around and you're a pariah.
Exactly. And then you have to
and you can still smile through it.
Exactly. That's what I was
a
going
lot
to say.
of ignorance, though. I mean, in retrospect, if I had known how much no one wanted to talk to me, I would have probably gone into frowned a little bit.
Yeah.
So you have to really believe in the thing you're doing to kind of get through it. And at the time, I was like, yeah, all these people need what I have to say.
Yeah, but it teaches you how to like not embrace the suck, but endure while enjoying, which is really valuable. And then lastly, I think it teaches you not to quit. Like, if you go serve a full-term mission, you're not a quitter. Like if you can go knock doors for a summer or a year,
get that thing done,
you're not a quitter. So I think that's awesome. So you served your mission.
And then right after that, I was kind of lost. I got home and I'm like, I just got lost a little bit. I went and helped out at the Olympics. 2002 happens, and the Olympics is here in Salt Lake City. Volunteered at the downhill up at Snow Basin, and was kind of in school at the same time at now UVU, I think, or UVS. I can't remember if they became a UVU at the time, but I was kind of, I don't know. I was kind of like, what's next in my life? I wanted a good relationship. But I went back to Italy and Thailand. I bummed around, and I was like, I thought I was just going to stay in Thailand for the rest of my life. I was
really like backpacking, or what do you mean?
Yeah, just kind of like, just kind of, I was kind of done with America for a second. It was really weird, but I kind of became a little socialist out there in Italy. It just I was out there for 9/11, and it didn't really make me more American. It was like I was in a town with a lot of Muslim people who were very upset that we immediately blamed them and went and bombed. I mean, if you kind of look at the whole thing, we went and attacked Afghanistan, which was nothing to really. It was a weird time because I just didn't have that pride of America.
A lot of polarizing opinions.
And the Muslims were really pissed. And they were spitting on us and everything, that we would go, attack them just because some crazy guy was, Osama bin Laden or whatever, which was. The whole thing is just weird, and so I just got this. That's
an interesting place to be in, for sure.
Yeah, I was at this weird part of my life where I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know what I was. I didn't know if I wanted to go back to Alpine, where it's just this opulent neighborhood of just white Mormon families, buying new cars and up in the Joneses and stuff. And I'm just like, that doesn't resonate with me at all. And so I ended up at Anasazi, this place down in Arizona, where I was a wilderness guide for people recovering from addiction. So I lived in the desert for 6 months, basically.
That's dope.
And just made fire with sticks and ate dehydrated food and guided these kids around. And that was like that was basically, like you were saying, the Native Americans, when they would go out and have that rite of passage. That was my real rite of passage. It was hard for me. I couldn't make the fire for the first few months. I'm like, this is really hard.
Yeah.
And then finally I had some experiences down there where I kind of became one with the land and almost had a transcendent experience.
The work you were doing is probably super fulfilling as well.
100%.
It was just me.
Really it was just younger me's that I got to take out, these young kids that I was most likely would have benefited a ton from doing Anasazi in my youth. And so I didn't do it. And I saw so much of me in these kids that I was hiking around. And when you're out there, it's not like a teacher student thing. We're kind of all one out there, and we get around the fire talking about life. And so I learned a lot from those kids, and I think they learned a lot from me. And that was a transformational job for me. It wasn't even a job. Cool. It was basically what I want to do for the rest of my life. So that's why I take a lot of risks, because I don't really care if I lose all my money. I'm just going to go live in the desert and make fires again. So awesome. So I literally will spend all my money.
Fallback plan.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
And and I'll be very happy if I get back there. So it's actually a goal is to eventually arrive back in the desert.
I love that. Yeah. So you did that. How long did you do that for?
I did that from August to February. So about 6 months.
That's cool. Yeah. That's really, really cool. Yeah. And then, did that go, I assume that experience and just that probably, like you said, kind of a transcendent experience 100%. To the point where it just probably changed not your life immediately, but the trajectory of your life for sure, and maybe your outlook on life. Or what did that change for you? And then where'd you go after that?
Changed everything. It was, I had nothing to my name, nothing, no savings. You don't get paid a lot. And so, and you have tons of time in your head. And this is before, cell phones are everywhere. You didn't have one out there. So you got to imagine a life with like zero comms, or you can't look up data that you like have a question. You can't just look it up. You just sit with it and you learn from each other. And so is something I think everyone should do even now. Is just kind of a week retreat or 2-week retreat where they're just pulled out of all of the world, the world that we know. And so that I had a lot of that. And then I remember just sometimes I couldn't sleep in my bag because it would get dark early. It was wintertime, and I would sit and plan my life. I would just write by the fire and just try to plan what I was going to do for the rest of my life. Like I knew I wasn't going to do this forever. Yeah. And so I just had a lot of ideas. I still that little businusman inside my brain. So I'm like, someday I'm going to figure out how to make money again. And and then I was a little bit of a hopeless romantic. So I'm like, I also want to meet a girl, So that I got home from that, and I was set up on a blind date, and that blind date ended up she just got back from China doing a program out there, and we were pretty in love really quickly after the date, and married 6 months later. Really? So that was the beginning of meeting Natalie. And then now that I'm young, married, helping her get through school to become a teacher, I got this kind of like just felt like I had a little bit of a platform or a little bit of a security or a co-founder or a partner. I'm like, okay, now I know who I'm going to do the stuff with. Now what are we going to go do? And she was just really good at just balancing me out. I'm so always in the weeds of ideas and things that aren't possible, and she's really grounded and knows how to get things done, actually execute. And so we were able to start a lot of our little businesses together right at the beginning, where I would just go take the risk. And she would go say, here's all the things that will go wrong. And here we got. She's like your guardrails. Yeah, we got to do taxes. So I'm like, damn. And so that's, even today, it's always a situation. I can't think about taxes. She has to think about those. If it were up to me, I would never pay taxes. I'd be in jail. I don't want any energy going towards taxation. It's like, that is just not necessary. It just totally takes me off of the building and making the thing. Yeah. And so it's been 23 years now of that marriage. That's crazy. And that's like from a blind date. So it's like it's like having a co-founder for life, that if you get a pretty good co-founder, you can do a life together, and it's a lot of stability and safety that allows you to it's just like anything. Even my venture company, we really, I was just having this conversation coming down here. We passed on a guy. I'm going to just say it here, and he'll be fine with it. He was one of the co-founders of Homey. You remember that company that was doing houses? And he's doing like the tealish billboards all over. Yeah, all over. And Homey, and now he's doing a new company, but he's doing it as a solo founder, meaning no co-founders. And our venture company is called Convoy Ventures. One of our tenets is that we don't invest in solo founders. We really like to see 2 or 3 people. Why? It's hard to do. Entrepreneurship's hard enough being solo, and you kind of need your Wozniak, your jobs. We really like to see people go at it together, especially people who are already friends or partners from the past. Maybe they played sports together. Maybe they've done something else. Maybe they've been in school together, but it's not like it's there's plenty of examples where it works without that. There's plenty of examples, but just something that we feel it's just more fun to go to be yoked equally with something, or at least more equally yoked with that's cool. Equity. Never thought about that challenge. Yeah, so it's really cool. So it's like, I just think it's nice to have. It's been nice to have a co-founder on life and kids and stuff. That's super cool. So then fast forward there, you guys meet. You guys are married pretty quick. Yeah, we got married. And so you were searching for direction in life. You found direction pretty damn quick. Yeah. There you go. I like that. Yeah, and I'm kind of an execute. I'm also like, because of risks. Yeah, I just didn't overthink it. I'm just like, she likes me, I like her. Let's go. I gotta get this done. I knew it was something I was going to do in my life was get married. So I'm like, let's get it done now. Let's start doing the kids thing. I know I need a few kids. Zero commitment
issues. Look at you.
Yeah, exactly. I know I need a few kids. Let's get those out.
That's amazing. So then what?
So I have an 18-year-old right now. So
you have an 18-year-old?
Yeah. So I have a kid that's about to become an adult, and all these things are very real to me right now as I talk to you. And like, what can I pass down to her? And she doesn't care about these things. She doesn't have the attention span to watch a podcast.
We'll get her some clips.
Yeah, the clips. She'll go all day on the clips.
There you go. We'll get her some clips.
If I bring up Cardi B or Taylor Swift, that might you just got to put a little bit of something in there for her to get some tea from.
We'll get a little. I'll make the boys do a little clickbait for her, and we'll get her to watch some good stuff.
Good.
That's amazing. So she's about to graduate. Cool.
In a week.
That's crazy. I wouldn't have guessed that. So you and your wife, blind date, meet. You guys go get married, and then at this point in time, you don't really have a lot to your name. You don't what's the life plan with you two now? Now you're married, you're gonna have kids.
We think school's a good idea. It's like she became a teacher and support. She got the lowest paying salary job you can get, I think, in Utah at the time was a elementary school teacher.
Respect.
Bringing in some $22,000 a year,
which should absolutely be. My mom's an elementary school teacher.
Yeah.
That should be so different.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
She did the hard work. She did in this a Title I school. So those are the harder schools on the west side of the Salt Lake, and then while pregnant, so she had a baby. So
Respect to her.
Her second year was pregnant. And then I would stay home and watch the oldest. And that's probably why the oldest is struggling so much. Is she had a lot of daddy influence at a young age. Well, Natalie was at school.
She had too much time with you.
Yeah,
a little bit less could have gone a long way.
I wasn't addicted to the cell phone at the time because there wasn't one. So it's mostly me just looking at this baby, kind of dancing with it, doing some videos. I'd film with a big camera and try to just do weird things. I just experimenting with this little baby. I was not supposed
Let's see if we can go viral before viral's a thing.
100%. There's no YouTube yet. Oh no, YouTube was brand new. That's right. It was
probably right when the Charlie bit me video went big.
Yes.
That was crazy.
So she taught. She did her master's too to get more education, and I was at the U going into economics and international studies. And I graduated. I worked selling once again. I got a job with a friend of mine. Started something where we were putting Wi-Fi into student apartments where students were going. I was setting up Wi-Fi, and I would sell into these real estate companies. And, just always selling, because I think your crowd wants to hear this, but being a salesperson is everyone should do it.
Yep.
Because it's basically the cheat code to making a stupid amount of money early. It's one of the quickest ways you can do it with very little, because it's just an effort in it. That's when Todd was telling me this, anyone can do it.
Yep.
And there's enough doors out there that if you just follow an effort game of just effort in, the money comes out on the other side. And so there's really no excuse for most people that if they're complaining about not having enough money or complaining about their job. I have a friend who literally quit working at L3 Harris. Well, he paused his job. He's working as engineer on fighter planes and communications satellites and all that, to go sell solar out in Florida at 42 years old.
And he's gonna go crush it too.
I think he will, because he's just nothing. There's nothing else to do. Let's go crush it. I know solar is getting hit, so maybe he's doing something else. But I know there's a lot of states that just really made solar hard this last few years.
Yep, a lot of consolidation.
I'm an investor in a company called Project Solar. They were trying to go direct and kind of kick out the door knockers. But even those guys, if everyone's having a really hard time with solar for some reasons, I guess at the utility level, and
there's so many pieces that go into it: utility level, power costs, sun hours, and then on
interest
top
rates,
of that, federal regulation, interest rates. There's so many things.
Yeah. So I think he'll crush it though, and whatever he does, it's going to be good for his own. It's going to be good for him.
That's awesome, dude. I agree 100%. I think sales. Obviously, I'm biased. I'm extremely biased, but I think sales is kind of the lifeblood or a really, really good base to go build your life of success on. If you can go master it, because it's an art form. It's not really a science.
Mm-hmm.
It really is an art form, which means anyone can go and do it. There's not a certain mold you have to fit. and then it's an effort game and it responds to effort 100%. So I think that's absolutely, I think sales is amazing. So you got back into sales.
So I was doing sales, but here's the thing. Every time I do sales, I want more. And my brain does not allow me to just do my own effort. Like
You want to go multiply.
I want to scale. Yes. And so there's two ways to do that. You either get more people working for you, or you get into technology. And my brain I'm not a coder, but I'm an architect of, I know how the computers work. I know how consumers engage. I'm a heavy user of early on all the consumer technology. Usually, very early user of anything that's coming out from Bay Area and from Silicon Valley. And so I think it was 2009. I'm like, okay, I'm at this company doing sales once again for tourism. I'm helping a company called Utah.com put ads on their website from all the tourist destinations here in Utah. And I simultaneously see this trend in like filming these hot spots across Utah for these ads. And I'm like, and there's these company that's doing little mini helicopters, and they're trying to film stuff with mini helicopters. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this. These helicopters are so dangerous with these big blades. We have to have a full pilot that knows how to like fly helicopters just to get these shots. And I'm watching this go down. And then I see this ad, or I see this video from Germany where this guy has built this little thing called a microcopter. And it's 8 little blades on this thing.
Little drone.
This is before anyone's seen a drone outside of Hollywood, videos. It was an actual drone that was stabilizing itself with and GPS and stuff. And so I'm instantly like, yes, I'm doing this. I'm going to bring drones to the US. And I spend $12K of all some of my hard-earned money to fly in a drone from Germany, carbon fiber octocopter, and you can hang a camera for him. Like I'm gonna change film and all this stuff. I was thinking, I wasn't really thinking scale at this time. I was thinking more like innovation. And the first time we put that thing up in the air, my friend that knows how to operate them, he kind of helped build it and make it work. It flies away from us, crashes at a little peewee baseball game on the first base. Everyone thought like an alien fell out of the sky.
No.
We run over and rescue it. It's all broken up. And it's just like, I'm like, I don't have enough to put more money into it.
Shit.
So I shut that down, but I learned a lot. I learned to take risk, and I learned that the person that's going to win that game was probably going to be the person making the helicopters, the little drones, and that was DJI. That
DJI took over.
Little kid, it was a guy, and he was just in college in China, and he made DJI happen.
That's
awesome. Multiple $billion company, and so drones wasn't my destiny, but I did get into other things that scaled. And that was after the iPad came out. I made a case for the iPad that would allow you to put it into like commercial use. Had a lock on it. It was made out of metal, so people started popping these in restaurants and on office meeting room walls and just anywhere.
So people could go sign in and not steal your iPad.
Yeah, people could do whatever they want with the iPad, whatever app they were making. Whether they're putting in the back of a taxi cab or whatever. I got it. I made a company that was. It's called iPad Enclosures, and eventually became Armor Active, but it was a company that helped protect iPads and tablets in commercial use.
That's dope.
And that's, so it was more of an e-commerce, B2B e-commerce, but what I learned there, and what the listeners here, that are in sales what I realized is that, like equity in a company. So instead of being just a salesperson at a company, this was my company. I owned 95% of it, and I could create a product and have this thing called equity. And I didn't really realize at the time until someone sent me a letter that said, I want to buy your company. I'm like, oh, so you can sell these things. Because at the time I was just selling these enclosures.
Like more product I moved.
Yeah, I'm just moving product, buying more product with the money, and I had about 20 sales guys kind of selling these things on the phone. And I didn't know how long that was going to go for. I'm just like, it's going to go forever. It's going to go forever. But I always have to balance between, buying new inventory, selling. It's just a grind.
Yep.
But it was fun. It provided jobs, and I enjoyed what I was doing and people I was working with. But then I got an offer to sell the company for $5.5 million. And I'm just like, so if I sell the thing, they buy it, and then my bank account gets $5 million. And I had only paid myself like $80,000 at the time.
It's a good way to look at it.
And I'm just
It's
like,
a very simple way.
and I'm like, done.
Yeah.
I don't even care what will happen in the future. I do not love iPads that much. Done. And so I went and met this company in Oregon. And I'm like, take the company, give me the money. And it took a while. It took 6 months to negotiate it. It ended up being a little bit less, but then there's some, money if we did certain goals.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to take stock in the company that bought us. And then I experienced an exit. This is a big moment. It's 10 years ago this year. I experienced this thing where you work, and you build the thing, and then
step away.
You just get a multiple for your efforts. You get a number that's like just like hard to believe, because at the time I'm 30 something, 32, and I'm like, wow, I want to do that again.
Yep.
Whatever that was, let's do that again. The next year I sold another company to Disney. Ironically, it was one I was already working kind of on. And now that I realize there's this exiting thing you can do by finding people that will buy the thing you make, I'm all into that game now. And so I sell another.
You're like selling things now.
I sell another company. Yeah, now I'm still in sales.
You're just selling.
But now
companies.
I'm like, I think I'm going to sell companies. Well, it's much harder than it sounds. I got lucky back to back, and then haven't sold anything since.
Yeah,
but that was enough to set me up financially to go and now I bet on companies. And so now I'm in the investor where I go and I give money to a company it's a startup, and for a little bit of equity exchange, I give them some money, and then they go out and build. I get to watch and advise them if where I can, and help them out, and hopefully participate, and hope that they become so. But local companies that people have probably seen this Gab phone. I was the first investor in that company. One called Neighbor.com. It's like a storage company that like a Uber for like storage. There's a few more in town that I've done. Well, there's like 70, but already most of them are shut down. So
that's what happens. Failure, 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So failure,
9 out of 10.
And then today I am putting all of my eggs in this one basket, and that is doing AI for healthcare. So I'm a company that's going to hopefully be a consumer. It's going to be a consumer app where you get to interface with a highly intelligent friend that will help you with your mental health, your physical health. And we're going to have clinics around the country where you can go get tested. We have vitamins and just a vitamin package that will be built based off of whatever your body is your biometrics are. So it'll be custom personalized medicine.
Crazy.
And we've raised a lot of money. This is one where we're kind of cheating in the sense that it's a time where everyone's looking at AI, everyone's looking at health and wellness, and we're putting the two together with a bunch of celebrities and a team that basically built most of Snapchat. Like there's 8 of our team that were early that built the filters, that built a lot of the camera, the streaks, all these really addictive things. We're like going to bring that to health and see if we can get kids and us addicted to
that's amazing,
addicted to doing something good for us. So micro help, micro healing versus micro harming.
Yeah.
And that's where all my time is put right now. Mostly 80% of my time is on PHI, the company and by the time maybe this will be cut up and edited, maybe it'll be out, but we're hoping to be out by July with a free app that anyone here can
PHI.
Download. PHI. Yeah.
That's awesome. That is so badass, dude. That's such a fun story. And a couple of things you said that I just to echo, because I think it's really important people understand it. Equity creates wealth, period. Right.
If you want mega wealth, you've got to find a way to start getting equity.
Yep. Equity.
It's just
equity creates wealth. So
don't sell your time for salary or for hourly wages.
Take equity.
Find a way to start getting equity.
If you believe in whatever it is you're a part of, because there's equity plan. Even where we work, there's equity plans for sales reps, everything like that. And that's, to be honest, to me, that's the most attractive part about what we do. When you go and you look at the amount of money you can make, money's awesome, but it's also super finite and it's not multiplying unless you become a really good investor, which typically doesn't happen until after you lose a lot of your money and then you learn how to invest. Right. But if you believe in the company you're a part of and you can go gain equity in the company you're part of, or go start a company and keep your equity. Because
Yeah.
a lot of people give their equity up because it's not worth anything at the time. So it's like,
It's a long term. You got to have a long term mentality towards
sure.
equity,
For
and
sure.
it's not the quick buck that some people can go out and sell and make 150K in a summer, and that's crazy. But I would just see that 150 as, don't go below that on a on depreciating assets. That should be your seed capital to go do the thing to go build equity.
Mhm.
Whether you want to go get equity on a home, Casey Boss started a fund for a lot of the Vivint bros, I call them, or the Sandlot. You
Yep.
go give them your money, and then you're gonna have fractions of equity and all the things they do. There's a lot of way to get equity, but it can either be through sweat equity, which is working towards something, or
Yep.
you go have a big summer or whatever in sales, and then start. You can become an angel investor. I have a whole new angel investor community that we're starting too with my Convoy Ventures that's made for people that want to just put $5,000 a month into a local tech startup and
cool.
and get equity. Get slivers of equity. So there's lots of ways to start getting equity in the more and more, and it could just be getting on Robinhood
Mm-hmm.
and just like, I need some NVIDIA.
Yep.
If you were buying NVIDIA last year, you're gonna do better than I've done on most of my startups and my
You're in a really good
investments.
spot.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's if you see something ahead of time, kind of if you feel something and you got some insight, or just go practice. Everyone can go get on Robinhood and start learning about investing in
100%.
companies, and you can go get a digital wallet for your crypto and start playing around with crypto. You can go buy. Someone made a coin on Solana, so there's this app called Phantom, and you can go get a Solana there. And someone published they made a coin called Scotty Coin, and he sent it to me, and I just like, this is hilarious. And so I put some money into it, and some other people put some money in it. And like, that's teaching you equity. That's teaching you, it's investing.
Yep.
It's a little bit gambling investing, but it's still going to teach you how numbers work, how crowds. Same with this Pulse chain and the Hex
go
thing.
throw some money in Pulse chain, everybody. Go do me a big favor.
Not financial advice.
Zero financial advice on here. I'm the last person to take financial advice from, but
no. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying, I don't really think anyone should go like, when anyone's like pushing a certain thing. The only thing I will push very, very frequently is Bitcoin and Ethereum, meaning if you're going to do anything, go grab Bitcoin and Ethereum, dollar cost average, buy a little bit every month, and 80% of it should be in those two. And then 20% save for the crazy stuff. Get some Doge, get some dog with hat, which is the 30th biggest coin right now, is a meme. And they keep happening.
Well, they keep happening. They keep blowing up.
Yeah,
Doge was actually a big win for me. Really, really big win.
That's
And
good.
it was advised from one of my best buddies that was out working with us, a random dude that lived in a double wide trailer in Alabama.
Was teaching you about Doge.
Told us about Doge when it was like, I don't remember I think it was 0.4 of a cent. And yeah,
And you're like, I'm going to take advice from this guy.
yeah. And of course we're like, yeah, we'll go. May as well. I don't know why.
I mean, it
but
doesn't matter
didn't-
when you spend. Yeah, you just spend $100. That's the thing is it's fun to go spend $100 here and there on some made up coins, and then
Yep.
sometimes you lose money. Sometimes it doesn't matter because you're going to fail or win, and both are going to get you closer to a goal.
Exactly.
The same thing. Failures and wins are basically training data that hone in who you are.
Dude, we should do a couple more episodes where we actually get to dive into deep, like in depth on AI and on crypto and everything like that. Because I feel like we could talk for an hour alone on both of those.
What I'll
very
do better
simply.
for you though is I'll bring on people for both of those.
Yeah.
So
let's do it.
I'll bring on my co-founder for AI, and then I'll bring on someone who can just get crazy on crypto.
I love it. We'll
And
just do a
deep.
little 3-seater
Yeah.
and go deep dive. I think
Yeah.
that'd be a blast. I think it'd be
Yeah.
a ton of fun. I do have 2 more questions for you real
Let's do
quick
it.
before we wrap up. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. It's been an hour flies by every time. But I guess my first question for you is you have a daughter who's 18 years old.
Mhm.
Your life experience, honestly, your story is really cool. Like you've experienced kind of a very wide range, and I think that's not incredibly. Well, it is unique. It's super unique to go experience a range of things that wide, from Mormon mission to selling a company to dropping out of high school to do your company to exiting, having pretty big exits to selling to Disney. Like you've seen a lot. What would you say that generation is missing? I know there's a lot of things they're hitting on and they're crushing on, and we touched on that. Like, what are they missing? Or what is something that you don't see as a common, like a commonly praised by that generation attribute or whatever that they should go and give more attention to and more focus to and more energy to?
That is an excellent question, and it deserves way more thought because I wasn't ready for it. And
Good.
and it would be this though. It would be pay attention to go find your people. There are so many communities, so many podcasts, so many forums. Go find your people. They're out there. They may not be in the state or whatever, but go find the messages that really resonate with you, that make you feel alive inside, that make you get up and want to just switch it all up, whatever that is, or make you, because if you're ever stuck, if the whole sees the day, and there was a great movie where I came from, Dead Poet Society. But there's just this, like, I think we've all had it where we're kind of stuck.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, what's the purpose? And you got to go find the message, the music, whatever the thing is that like just fills you full of fire, and then just follow that. Keep doing the thing or having the conversations that get you really warmed up and really heated up.
I love that.
And I don't know where that is for everyone here.
Mm-hmm.
It could be, for some people it could be this. For me, it was, I did start listening really early. There was right when podcast started, there was one coming out of Stanford University from Fisher Jurvetson. It was a few investors started a class at Stanford where they were taking in the greatest minds that they could find in Silicon Valley. Zuckerberg was on it. Musk was on it. The Zynga founder, a bunch of these founders in the early 2000s. This was like 2006 and 7. I remember listening to this. And I just got to peek into their world, and I felt like I was in the class.
Yeah,
and I'm a stupid. I can't get grades to get into Stanford. I was never going to go to Stanford. I was never going to go to any good school.
Yeah,
because I can't get any. The GMAT, all those things. I did an MBA at the U because they didn't really have any. There was, you just give them money and you can get in type of thing. There was not really a score that so I am not a good test taker. And a lot of us listening to this, if you're in sales, you probably didn't do as well in test taking, and consider that a blessing. I'm looking at you. Consider that a blessing, because when you get good at tests, you'll go into fields that are sometimes really fixed and really don't have a lot of the same movement. I just think when you go down the PhD or the super school route, you kind of don't get predetermined. It's kind of predetermined, and so the fact that I sucked at school allowed me to go and kind of fight in the real world and find my own way. But these podcasts allowed me to go and partake of the best stuff I would want to have done if I was at Stanford. And so there's nothing behind these school doors anymore. There's nothing at any of these universities that isn't public at this point.
Mm-hmm.
There's no secret sauce. Nobody's smarter than you. Nobody knows what's going on. Mm-hmm. At all. That's the best part. I was thinking about the coming here. Nobody knows what's going on. Yeah. And so all you really need to go find is some community of people that are talking about they're trying to figure out what is going on. Yeah. And then just find your people and find a message that gives you purpose. That's like, I'm going to do this. And that might be leaving the country. That might be starting something. That might be going out and doing a sales job. That might be taking an action and hooking up with a girl and making a life together. I don't know what the action is, but find the thing that really will heat you up and get you excited.
I love that. I love that. That answers my second question. My second question just has to do with the title of the podcast being Today's the Day. What advice do you have to people to go and kind of seize the day? Because today's the day. Yesterday already happened. Tomorrow might not even happen. Yeah. So today's the day by elimination. And you answer that perfectly. I think it's go find something that fires you up, gets you going, makes you feel fulfilled, and go at it full force.
And find that community that does that, because it's hard to do it alone.
I like that.
Even though it might be alone, but find the community. There are people. They're somewhere out there that are just like you, and they were once blocked or not. They didn't have the answers, and they got together and tried to at least figure out what the right questions are to try to answer. So
I love it. I love it. Well, dude, out of respect for you and everybody else, it's crazy how fast it goes.
Yeah,
Mr.
it's
Scotty
fast.
Coin, I appreciate you so much, dude. Thank you for the time. It was
great.
a blast,
Thanks, Zack.
and we'll definitely do a couple more.
All right. Thank you.
Everybody, for watching, thank you, and much love until next time. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. As always, it was a blast for me. I hope you got something out of this. If you got something out of this video of value, share this with a friend, and please go show your love. We're on all streaming platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Any ratings, comments, likes, shares, they go a very long way, and they make it so I can keep doing these things for you, and I would appreciate it greatly. So please go share with a friend. Until next time.